Hello, everyone. Welcome to another amazing episode of the Black Girl Encourage Her. I am your host, Shaniqua Inspires. And if you've been following us these past few weeks, we are knee deep in the Nurse Boss Edition. That's right. We are bringing together some powerful nurse bosses, and they are sharing words of encouragement that will either get you to want to join the profession yourself, or you might hear some little nuggets that will help you to grow right where you are. So now today is going to be no different. I've got another gem that I want to bring to the stage. Let's go ahead and get past all of this so we can get her and hear all about her. Everyone, welcome to the stage, Nurse Makeda. Hey, girl. Hey.
Hi, how are you?
I am well. Thank you so much for saying yes to being a part of the Nurse Boss Edition. Please introduce yourself to us all.
Hi, well, my name is Makeda. I'm a registered nurse. I live in New York, Buffalo, New York, and I'm a mom of a 10-year-old son, and I'm also an entrepreneur. I have a wellness business as well. So I have a couple of things that I do, and so I'm just happy to be here today and share some, insight on some things that I'm got going on today.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love it. So let's just give the people what they want to hear, because when they come to the Nurse Boss Edition, they want to hear what kind of areas of nursing you've been in. So tell us how long you've been a registered nurse, and what's your field of expertise. What areas are you working in, or have you worked in?
Okay, so I have been an actual registered nurse about almost 9 years. Um, and I have been in a few areas of nursing. So I've worked in psych, I've worked in the school, I
Oh,
was a clinical instructor, I did med surge, I've done step down. I worked in palliative care. I've done travel. And currently I am teaching. So I am currently doing, I just finished a nursing contract. So I just did a travel contract. I'm also a CPR instructor, and I am now currently teaching PCA classes. I've done CNA, and I've also taught RN students, but currently I'm doing PCA training. Um, and a little bit of here, a little bit of there. I'll do my CPR training as well. So I have stuck my hand in a few areas of nursing, as you may say. Um, so that's what I'm currently enjoying is the teaching aspect of nursing. I love education, especially in this field. You are always going to be educating yourself every day. So, it's my goal to really just educate our people and just, give some insight and let people know that there's so many different varieties of nursing that you don't have to stay in one area. So that's my
absolutely,
little.
absolutely. So, did you start out? So, when you had this inclination that you wanted to become a nurse, what was that journey like? Did you just go straight into a BSN program, or did you kind of we've had some other guests that kind of took like an incremental pathway where they started out as a CNA and then just kind of took the steps up? What was your journey towards where you are? Which way did you go with it?
So when I graduated high school and I had went to college, my intentions was nothing of the sort. Like I didn't
Really?
want to be. I had nothing like high school. They had us on these programs. It was like a BOCES program. I wanted to be a lawyer. Like that was my thing. I was going to be a lawyer. I went to a science technology entry program during high school. So I was like, I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be a pediatrician. I had wanted to be around kids. That was my passion. Yeah, I got to college and they said, oh, you got to take this chemistry, you got to take this science, you got to do this, you got to do that. And I said, this is not what I want to do. This is not
Yeah.
how I imagined it. So
Yeah.
I had a work study job at the time, and I had spoke with a current nursing student, and she was just talking about nursing and how, great it was, and maybe I should, look into that if I still wanted to be in the medical field. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
I never thought about, being a nurse. I do like to help people. I've always had that wanting to help and heal, and so I really looked into it. So I have applied. I went to a 4-year school, and I applied for the nursing program. At the time, I had to wait because
Mm-hmm.
they only started the year, so you couldn't start in the semester. And I think I had applied in like the spring or something like that, so I
Mm-hmm.
had to wait till the fall. So during the meantime, I picked up another bachelor's with health and human services.
Okay.
So some of the prereqs were similar to some of the prereqs that I needed for nursing. So I just, did that. And then I was able to start the nursing program a year later.
Okay.
So that was pretty much what I started as. I didn't intentionally want to be a nurse. I had no thought about being a nurse. But once I became, a part of the program, I had my share of different thoughts about nursing.
Mm-hmm.
Nursing is not for the weak
Yeah.
whatsoever. Nursing school
Yeah.
is not. However, I am glad that I pushed through.
Yeah.
So I did continue, and I received my BSN straight through, which I'm glad because I'm meeting so many nurses who don't have their BSN and they're
Yeah.
going back. Like, oh,
Yeah.
thank God I did not have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right. Yeah. And that's kind of the pathway that I took. Like I went straight into the BSN program. And after a certain amount of courses, it made you eligible to, well, I did CNA in high school. And then it made you eligible for like the LPN exam, but I never took it. I just stayed focused on, the 4-year program. And like into yourself, like I've worked with nurses who had their RN license, but then they had to go back to school to get their BSN, and it was very challenging and difficult. Especially like you've got a family now and
right,
you're
right,
working, it just makes it a little bit more difficult. So to the young, I would advise to just go straight into the 4 years, get it, because actually now in the field of nursing, like MSN, so your master's is almost now becoming the norm and what they're looking for in certain positions. So you might as well just go straight into it. But everybody has to do what's best for themselves. But it is good to hear that. And even someone like into yourself who had no clue about the nursing profession or and to be introduced to it. So I love the fact that you're in a teaching capacity where you're doing the PCAs, the CNAs, the RNs, like you're getting to be that light that nursing student was to you, to be the example that they can see and say, about nursing. Maybe I should look into it a little bit more. So, congrats to you for the strides that you're making in the profession. Now, I did want to go a different route with you. First, I wanted to ask you this: why did you go into so many different areas of nursing? Was it strategic? Was it something that just kind of happened? So give us a like an inside scoop as to why somebody would, switch. And it's the same career, but why you would just switch your pathways so often.
So, life's, and
Mm-hmm.
I've had a couple of pitfalls in my nursing career. Just with the pandemic, I was working on the floor, and I had a small child, and so I decided to do home. Oh, I missed one, home care,
Mm-hmm.
and I've done UA.
she's like, wait a minute, I got another
Like
field that I've worked
I
into.
I never, like, you kind of like, I just go with the flow. Like sometimes
Yeah.
I don't even realize like so many different areas. But during the pandemic, it wasn't conducive for my schedule to
Mm-hmm.
continue to stay in the hospital. So
Yeah.
I started looking at other opportunities, and I working for like an insurance, doing assessments for home care. Um, And so, it wasn't bad. It was remote at the time because everything was shut down.
Mm-hmm.
It was something that worked for me at the time because my son was at home. That was what worked for me.
Yeah.
Um, it's cool to do the remote, and I'm not opposing that, but
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't what I really was passionate about. So I feel like as I kind of was learning more about myself and learning about the different opportunities in nursing and things that I'm interested in, I felt like I needed to find what was for me, my
Mm-hmm.
purpose in this profession. And I'm finally at the point of being what I'm passionate about. And I'm passionate about teaching. I'm passionate about speaking, telling my story, telling my journey, some things that I never thought was important,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to share with others. I had a student, I was teaching today, and I had a student, and they were like, "Wait, you have your BSN and your bachelor's and your have your master's? Oh my gosh, like that's such an inspiration." And you never think about the journey because of all of the things that I have gone through in my life personally and professionally. You don't think that what you have done has such a huge impact on others.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm finally at that realization that I have an impact on people. Students reach out to me, they remember me when I see them. They're like, "Oh my God, you were my clinical instructor.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you were this, you were that. Oh, I don't know where I would have been if you were there helping me." So that makes me feel good. And so I just feel that I wasn't finding that passion within those other areas. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
grateful for them because,
Mm-hmm.
it gave me the experience and made me who I am today as a nurse. But ultimately, I always been resulting back to the teaching aspect of nursing. So
I love that. And thank you for your transparency with that, because I just needed somebody. I don't know who's watching, out there in YouTube land. I don't know who's watching, but somebody needed to hear that, because places, employers, leadership, whomever, the classic they will
right.
make you feel bad
Hmm.
for switching positions. They look for longevity. So they make you feel as though you should be staying in one position forever and ever. Amen. And it's fine for those who do that. But like into you, Makeda, girl, I got around. I got
Yeah.
around in the field, right? And
Right.
I think because I actually had someone during an interview make a comment about that. They looked at my resume and they saw all of these different areas, and they kind of, not really, but you can hear the undertone to it. They were questioning like why I didn't have the longevity. And I'm like, I did have longevity. I spent a great portion of my time in the bedside. But
Hmm.
then once I got a taste of home care and I saw how you could, progress in that, I wanted to get a little taste in every area. And so if there is someone who, is being pressured, whether, blatantly or very, undercover, it's okay, because you are gaining your experience, and all of that experience puts the pieces of the puzzle together, which is you. And
Right.
that's where you're going to be able to have the most impact, because now, Makeda, you can talk to these students. Yes, they're coming in at entry level as PCAs, but you can talk to them about home care. You can talk to them about education. You can talk to them about med surge and step down, and like, you've got so many aspects that you can now speak to. So I think it just makes you even more of a valuable asset to the field, especially the education field, because you get the opportunity to share that with them. So I thank you for just taking us into that side and just giving us some words of comfort, that we don't have to feel awkward because we're still searching for that thing. And so I'm
Absolutely.
glad you found that thing in education.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now I got to ask you another question. And I actually
Yep.
want to spin this just a little bit differently than some of the other nurse bosses have come on here, and we've stayed right in the nursing capacity. But when I saw your bio, I said, "Oh, Makeda is going to be a great one to have a real deal conversation with." I saw that you had either it's present or in the past with PCOS.
Mm-hmm.
You also mentioned thyroid cancer, right? So you've experienced divorce, right?
Yes.
You've experienced setbacks,
Mm-hmm.
hardships,
Absolutely.
health issues.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to someone who is experiencing health issues and they're in their field? And let's just, for an example, they're in the field of nursing. Does it make it harder, easier, complex to be in your field? And especially in your story, you were searching around for that sweet spot,
Mm-hmm.
but you were also going through. Tell us a
Mm-hmm.
little bit about that and what got you through.
So yeah, like sometimes I literally have to think back of when I was a senior. Yeah, my last semester of nursing school, I was told that I had PCOS. I had no idea what it was.
Mhm,
I would be, extremely tired, just going through the motions, not really understanding. I'm a college student, obviously I wasn't really, eating the best. I was stressed and all of these things. And, nursing school has so many, avenues to them.
mhm,
So I just had these like really bad headaches, sinus headaches. And I just was like, I'm going to the doctor after like weeks and weeks of just coming home and just like passing out like for
mhm,
hours. I thought that was normal.
mhm.
I went to the doctor. He did a full assessment. He was like, "Your thyroid is enlarged. I need you to get a biopsy." So it was like in steps of these things going on.
Wow.
So as I, had my biopsy, he was concerned. He said, "I really need you to get surgery as soon as possible." I was graduating in a month. I
Wow.
said, I can't. I said, I just went through all of these things with nursing. I am
Mhm,
not gonna just finish. So he was like, no, he said it was okay for me to finish, but I had to immediately get surgery at least 30 days after graduation.
wow.
So during the time, I was just kind of like not knowing what to think. All of these things with thyroid, I had just got diagnosed with PCOS. They did
Mm,
not tell me what to do. They told me to literally diet and exercise, and if I wanted to have a kid, I would have to be on fertility medicine. That was exactly what he told
wow.
me.
Wow. Wow.
So, I'm 21, 22 years old, thinking I'm like, oh, I can't be a mother. I'm like, one day I want to be a mom, but he's literally saying fertility medicine. So I'm thinking, like,
Mhm.
I can't afford that. Back in the day, it was like
Yeah.
you had to have all of this money to be able to afford fertility
Mhm.
medication. So all of these thoughts was going through my head. And in my mind, I thought, hey, if I have to get surgery, I know I'm graduating. I'm going to take this NCLEX so I don't have to stress about, you know, getting surgery and I could just relax because I don't know when I'm going to be able to work again
Yeah.
or be able to concentrate on a test. That was an epic fail,
Wow.
because I failed. I failed at NCLEX. And I was devastated. I was
Mhm.
devastated because I never failed anything in my entire life. I
Mhm.
was embarrassed. I didn't want to tell anybody.
Mm,
When I did
great.
tell people, I was like, I'm ashamed. Like maybe I'm not meant to be a nurse. Like all of these things are
Yeah.
coming in my head. So I avoided it, for some time. And then I just started to do other things. And, I had my son in the middle of that.
Wow.
Um, and I just went back to school to get my master's in public health. And I just figured maybe I'll just be an administrator. I'll just forget about nursing. I don't want to do all of that. And yeah, that wasn't what I wanted to do it, but it was like I felt like it was a missing piece. Like I don't like to start things and don't finish.
Mhm.
So I try to, do it again, and I failed a couple times, about 4 times.
Wow.
And I finally came to the realization when I had got with my ex-husband. He helped me, and I had a routine. I studied, I worked out, I lost weight, and I studied for my test, and I passed it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that was like the most like fulfilling feeling ever.
Yeah.
But during all of those things, I was going through so much emotional, emotional, imbalance, not understanding why having these moods, and now
Mm-hmm.
looking back at all of the things that I was experiencing, I know why. I had things all over the place. Medication was not on for my thyroid. My doctor was constantly changing it. So everything was all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
But during the time, I still was determined to finish what I started. Um, I was afraid to do it again because of failure. So I
Mm-hmm.
pushed, I wasted. I'm not gonna say wasted. I pushed off time that, you know, because of fear. I
Yeah.
was fearful.
Yeah.
But what I will say today is that I'm glad that I did that, because what I'm saying to you right now, back then, I wouldn't dare. I didn't tell
Mm-hmm.
anybody that I would fail. And I was so scared because I'm like, I'm not a nurse. Like, what are people going to think about me?
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm able to have this conversation and be confident that I made it
Yeah.
throughout all of these things.
Yeah.
Um, I was having issues during the pandemic in my marriage, and I pushed off having some postpartum. I mean, not postpartum, like I was having like some, I don't know if it's like post traumatic stress,
Mm-hmm.
um, dealing with the pandemic, doing a lot of different things. And I just felt like I was going through like this spiral, and
Mm-hmm.
emotionally, my husband was not really available, and we started to have issues. And so, I had to make a conscious decision that I needed to not be in that marriage anymore,
Mm-hmm.
because it wasn't fulfilling for me. It wasn't helping me get to the next level, um, mentally,
Mm-hmm.
spiritually, and financially.
Yeah.
And so that was a really hard decision for me, because again, my parents, I grew up in a home, both of my parents, um, we didn't have any step parents in our home. So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how to really go through that experience.
Yeah.
Having a marriage and not being with the person, that was never something that I chose to do or wanted to
Mm-hmm.
do. So it
Mm-hmm.
took me some time to really decide, but I had to pray. I had to pray. Honestly, God was the one who really got me through
Yeah.
where I'm at today, because I struggled for a long time. I suffered in silence, as they say,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
I'm the strong person.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
the strong friend. I'm the strong family member. I know nobody ever thinks I go through anything. So going and really pouring myself to somebody else was never the ideal. So
Mm-hmm.
I say that is that, it was a long, tedious journey.
Yeah.
But now I can sit before you.
Mm-hmm.
I have done things that I haven't had thought that I had the courage to do,
Yeah.
because I have made those decisions. So I am grateful for the opportunities that are coming my way, because of now people want to hear my story. Now people want to hear the journey that I'm on.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just grateful overall, because everything always works out, and I had to be a firm believer of that, because it was a struggle for years.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. Oh, that was so good. Thank you so much for that. And there is power in your story, right? There was so much because there are many people who struggle in silence. Like they're too embarrassed, they're fearful, they just want to keep it to themselves. They grew up culturally like you don't tell your business to people. But I'm here to say, like, there is so much power that comes from that because I'm certain someone who's watching today can relate to something that you said. Like you've literally ran through and dropped seeds for just about anyone to pick up, whether someone had health issues while they were going through nursing school, anybody with PCOS, and that can just have your hormones all over the place, right? People don't realize the detriment like conditions like that have on your body. It literally wreaks havoc on your body. And
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes it mimics something else. Like, so between the PCOS and the thyroid issues you were having, you're having migraines, you're tired, you're thinking this is just a regular run of the mill nursing student
Right.
story,
Right.
right? Because who isn't, tired with all of the
Right.
study time and everything that goes into it. So um, it's encouraging to hear, so that people can hear that, to say, you know what, I'm not alone. I'm not alone in that. And then you went into even admitting that you failed the NCLEX. And I don't know, that's the greatest pressure ever. Like, I don't know if I've ever experienced any other pressure than
Me either.
that, because everybody sees you when you graduate.
Right.
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 Nowadays we got Facebook. Like back in my days when I graduated, we ain't have Facebook be putting stuff all up. But nowadays everybody sees all your stuff, right? They see
Right.
you at the ceremony, you're graduating, but you're not a nurse. What
Right.
happened? I thought you went to
Right.
school. I thought I like the picture with you in your cap and gown. They don't realize that there's another step to that. Like, that's the
Right.
first step. But then there's that NCLEX that you have to take. And you're not alone, Makeda, because I failed my NCLEX one time as well. Right. So
Mm-hmm.
I failed it too. And that makes me even better nurse. I think it's those failures, it's those setbacks, those silent struggles that makes us even better. It makes us even more impactful to more people. So if we had to take the hit, we had to take the hit. Sometimes
Right.
it's not about us, it's about the people who we are called to serve and who we are called to lead. And again, it circles back around to you finding your passion as an educator. You are in a sweet spot to be able to lead these people through who might struggle in a similar fashion. So great, 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 powerful story. And again, thank you for being transparent, because a lot of people like to be seen on top.
Right.
Right? They only want to highlight the good stuff. They don't want to talk about my marriage didn't work out, and I'm having, this cramping and this hormonal, and but don't nobody want to talk about all of that stuff, because they think it's going to take away from the glory.
Right.
But it
Right.
doesn't. It doesn't. It just makes you sparkle even better. So Makeda's out here sparkling. She's shining in her nurse bossness. Listen, she got me so into this. I had to put up not one sticker going up. We are still celebrating nurse bosses. We are celebrating nurses. They talking about we got a week. Y'all better get that out of here, because
Right.
during the pandemic, they was all talking about we gonna celebrate nurses all month long.
Uh,
Well, you not gonna take back 3 weeks now. You can't do that. So we are celebrating nurses all month long. And you know what? We're celebrating all year long, because we are
Absolutely.
nurses all year long, and people need to hear our stories. They need to hear our roar, because it can inspire. Not only are we helping to heal the sick, we are inspiring them as well. So look, Makeda is also, she's doing the darn thing. She's even adding another title. She is going to be one of the co-authors in the Act Like a Nurse, Think Like a Boss collaborative book project. Yes, yes, yes. We have been hearing all of the goods from so many amazing nurse bosses who are going to be in this project. Makeda, what can you tell us about your chapter? Give us a little spoiler alert as to what we can expect in your chapter of this book.
So basically, I'm talking about my journey, like
Mhm,
what literally has me going and
mhm,
bringing me to this surface, like even becoming this person to write a book. I was when I decided to, I talked to Dr. Tammy about being a part of this project. I was nervous. I was like, I really wanted to write a book, and I just really didn't know what to do. And I just been like holding this on for
mhm,
so long to even talk about the PCOS, talk about my failures, talk about my divorce, talk about all of the things that I've been going through. And so, I'm just so grateful for her, because I really was like shy to really talk about it. Not that, I had to get to a point where I'm okay with talking about it now. And so now I just like each time that I talk about it, I just get so like excited because I know that I'm on a whole nother path.
Yes.
I'm just grateful. I'm grateful to, be able to be here on your platform to discuss it. But yeah, I'm talking about my journey and just encouraging people that it's don't ever give up. It may seem like the end of the road and it may seem like you're not gonna make it. And I even have to tell God sometimes, I don't know why I worry when you always
Mm.
I
Yes.
don't know. And I sit up there and I have a conversation. No, why are you worrying? Because
Yeah.
God is gonna work it out. But
Always does.
sometimes it's just that reassurance to
Yeah.
just really just get back on track. And this was just like the light at the end of the tunnel because
Hmm.
I've had experienced some dark times,
Hmm.
and I am just really, really, really grateful to be a part of this opportunity, this project. I'm so excited. But yeah, so I'm just talking about my journey. Um,
I love
and
it.
yeah,
I love it. And listen, when that book project releases, you guys, you got to make certain that you get it because, this podcast, once you watch it, you're going to like it, you're going to love it, you're going to subscribe, all of that good stuff. But to have this story, this testimony in a physical book that you can take with you, you can thumb through it while you on the subways, while on your vacation. It's Sunday, it's your self-care Sunday time, and you sipping your coffee. You can read this and get inspired over and over and over again. So I am grateful that Dr. Tammy Lewis has put together this collaborative project, and she's really going to bless the masses because of it. So I'm grateful for her obedience to the call and finding such spectacular nurse bosses to be a part of it, and we get to meet them beforehand. So this has been good. Now, Makeda, are you going to be at the Nurse Boss Summit this year?
absolutely.
Yes.
I am going to be there. I am going to be there. Yes, when Dr. Tammy Lewis told me, I was like, oh, this is amazing. Because her energy, just everything about her, just placing me in the rooms, I definitely need to feel the energy in person. So I will definitely be there.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, I'm gonna be there. So we gotta make certain we connect. We're gonna make this
Yes,
virtual relationship into a real one. So
yes,
I am excited about that. If you all have not, y'all have been hearing me week after week talk about this Nurse Boss Summit. If you haven't gotten your tickets, you're gonna play around. You're gonna play around and it's gonna be sold out on you, and then you're gonna be mad. You're gonna be sniffing at the door trying to get in. So go ahead, get your tickets now. There's this big gala that's going to take place as well. So if you're busy, you're preoccupied, you can't get a chance to go to the actual summit, you can meet us at the gala. Put on your fancy best, come out and celebrate. And of course, it is for the Anthony Lewis Foundation, the Brain Tumor Foundation. So we got to come out and support, but make sure you all go to the website and check it out. And like I said, even if you can't attend, maybe it's too far for you, how about you sponsor a ticket? How about you buy a ticket to the gala or you donate one to someone else? Like there are still ways to support, even if you're not physically in the room. So I hope that you all will take advantage of that and come out and meet Makeda and myself and some of the other powerhouses, so that we can continue to grow and support each other in this journey. Because nurse bosses do so much. We do so much. We are not just at the bedside, and education and, all the areas Makeda done went through. We're not just there. We're writing books. We're starting businesses. We have podcasts. Like we are doing some amazing things, and you want to catch this wave because nurses are the vibe. So, Makeda, I hear you got some more stuff you dibbling and dabbling in. Tell us about Nubian resilience. I love
I
that.
started New Year Resilience in 2020 during the pandemic. That was kind of like when I was trying to figure out other avenues to work in, hey, my son's at home. I need some more
Mhm.
flexibility. And then I also had this light bulb come on that working as a nurse on, on the bedside was just not gonna satisfy me. I was
Mhm.
just not completely satisfied. And I just was looking into do more. I wanted to help women that, struggle with, like I said, I had PCOS, so many things, weight, diet, exercise
Mhm.
was always like a constant fluctuation for me. It's still a constant fluctuation. I do have a lot more knowledge than I did before.
Mhm.
I feel like I'm getting more guidance because of there's more research and people are discussing what PCOS is more than they
Mhm.
were before when I was first diagnosed.
Yep.
So I started a body contouring business, but now entering the wellness aspect of it. When
Nice.
I first started it, it was more just strictly body contouring, body sculpting, just doing things that, I wanted to get surgery. I was like, I'm tired of this. I'm gonna get surgery. But honestly, I was like, what are other some alternatives to that? And that's what I really looked into, the body sculpting world. And so now I'm kind of pivoting the business more and focusing more on women with hormonal imbalances.
Mhm.
Women, because a lot of the clients that I was servicing, we were getting good results.
Yeah.
However, they didn't know
Mhm.
what to eat. They didn't know they're not exercising. They were not avoiding certain foods that
Yeah.
was causing inflammation. So there were so many different things that were, kind of interrupting their process
Yeah.
because we really wasn't narrowing down the aspect of the nutritional piece of it.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, I took some time in between, like I said, with the pandemic, things was fluctuating, and I kind of was like in and out of love with my business. And I'll be
Mhm.
honest, I
Yeah.
kind of didn't really know how to reach the audience. I really didn't know my niche. I would hear so many people talk about, well, you need to have your niche. You need to know this. You
Mhm.
need to know that. And I'm like, well, I'm doing body contour. Like that should be enough.
Yeah.
Um, no, it's not enough. So,
Mhm.
as I really started to dig deeper, um, I really was missing the most important piece.
Mhm.
I'm someone who struggles with weight loss and, you know, hormone imbalances and
Mhm.
all of the things, knowing not what foods to eat, not to eat. Those are the things. So it's like, I'm the target. I'm the target.
Yeah.
So, transitioning into more wellness. And I actually have a client, old client, she had lost over 100 pounds, and I was helping her with her skin tightening services because I was providing those services for her. She reached out to me a couple weeks ago and was like, "I would like to collab with you and partner with you because you offer so many different things, and I want people to know like, hey, that you can do it naturally." So we both were out of town. I was out of town for my birthday. She was out of town for her family. So we are actually coming together this coming week, and coming up with some things. We're trying to get a wellness event to happen in our area so that we can kind of
Mm.
talk about the benefits, because a lot of women in my area have PCOS and don't even know
Mhm.
it.
Yep.
They don't even know it, and they continue to just be like, oh, I'm just gaining weight, or they just like, oh, whatever, they're eating whatever, and they're not
Mhm.
knowing that it's causing so much inflammation. And as I'm getting older, I'm now 40, there's things in my body that I'm more aware of than I was before. When I first was diagnosed, I'm 21, 22 years old, whatever. I lost weight when I got pregnant with my son naturally. So that was when I kind of was like, oh, this doctor was not correct.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
have to have fertility medicine to, have a child. I needed to be under a certain weight and
Mm.
to have a certain be at a certain weight, have, exercise and be healthier so that
Mhm.
I can have a natural pregnancy.
Yeah.
And so all of those things coincide with each other, and things that I've learned doing this business journey, because it has not always been easy peasy. Um,
Absolutely.
but I feel like now that I have more of a grasp of the things that I want to produce to my audience,
Yeah.
it makes it so much easier for me to kind of pivot some things. So it's not taken away from the original purpose of my business, but more so gearing towards wellness. Being a wellness advocate, especially for hormone imbalances, is really
Yeah.
where I'm at with my business today.
That is beautiful. It takes what we go through, right? Like we
Mhm.
become our target audience. So that's a beautiful thing. Makeda, we're gonna have you come back because I definitely want you to share and teach us a bit more about that hormonal imbalance because you're right. So many people do suffer in silence, like, and they don't even know. So I would love to have you come back and do a little bit more teaching and deep diving into that subject matter. But it is exciting, everything that you are doing in your personal life, in your business. And I look forward to seeing, much more success. Everybody, I've got Makeda's social media handle. She's on Facebook, Makeda the Resilient RN. Y'all can check her out. She's also on TikTok. So if y'all still over there, I think it's still open. So y'all can follow her on TikTok only the number one nurse Makeda. And then, of course, we got her Instagram handles, only one nurse Makeda. And I want you to check out Nubian_resilient. Make certain you support. I cannot stress it enough how important it is in the business realm to get the following, to get the eyes on what it is that you're doing. You do great work, but we need to get the message out there. So if you all will, please make certain you're following Makeda on her social media handles. And this way you can stay connected to her. You'll know when she's offering new services and she's launching new products and all of this good stuff. You will stay in the know, right? So we want to make certain we stay connected to her. Makeda, it has been a pleasure. Do you have any parting words that you would like to leave with the audience?
I would just say that don't let anybody discourage you from what you really want to do. And, figure out your purpose because everyone has a purpose in this world, and do the best you can do in
Mhm,
your purpose and walk in your purpose with confidence and resilience.
mhm. I love that. I love it. That's what it's all about. It's about that resilience. All right, Makeda, hang out for just a second. Let me give the people their marching orders. That was so good. I can't wait till Makeda come back. I cannot wait because just the things that she's gone through has truly been inspirational because there are so many people out there who do suffer in silence or they feel like they're the only ones. And so it's good to have these types of conversations. So if you heard this message and it resonated on some level, you know somebody that has PCOS, you know somebody who's struggling to, pass the NCLEX exam, whatever Makeda said that might have sparked something in your mind, share this out with those individuals because you never know who needs to hear these words of encouragement. So until we all meet again, I want you to do what you know to do. I want you to subscribe, share, like, comment, leave us your good vibes, your positivity, so that we can continue to bring these words of encouragement to everyone. So until next week, you guys, I will see you on another edition of the Black Girl Encourage Her. Take care.